Hey H&K fans, James here with another in my Target of Opportunity series videos. Once again, spend a little quality time after hours in H&K's gray room to bring you this content. And today, more than most, I'm a little excited to bring you this video. There's no secret I'm an equal opportunity fan of H&K's weapons, but I've got a warm place in my heart for 40 millimeter high explosives. So without further ado, let's talk about the grenade launcher modules. Now, if you're a longtime follower of the channel, you've seen I've done a previous Target of Opportunity video on the original 40 millimeter grenade launchers from H&K from the 1960s. I will link that video below if you haven't seen it. And I'm not going to belabor you with all of the details again, but I will showcase them briefly because we got to talk about where we came from to really understand where we are right now. So originally in the 1960s, H&K was responding to contract requirements for a low velocity 40 millimeter grenade launcher system for Germany, as well as some of the other European countries, and really responding to what everyone was seeing the U.S. military was doing with first the M79 grenade launcher and then the M203. H&K's original designs presented us this system, which you can see is very compact, meant to be a standalone grenade launcher with its telescoping stock and its ambidextrous selectors, its external cocked hammer, its top folding ladder sight, and then a top-mounted brake action, comparable to the US M79. They would then create an underbarrel system, somewhat like the M203. You can see this one mounted here on the German G3 battle rifle. Similar capability now, and again, a brake action, this one mounting from the bottom. The benefit of both of these systems with that type of action was they could take any number of lengths of munition. So not just the smaller 40 millimeter high explosive projectiles, but the longer non-lethal type stuff and signaling and illumination type rounds. Those weapons, surprisingly, I've seen them all across the globe, still in armories and conflict zones because they are so well built. But by the mid-1990s, Germany was replacing their G3s with the new G36. So it was time for H&K to respond to a similar requirement for an underbarrel grenade launcher to create a grenadier capability within their services. So they updated those original grenade launchers to create the first of many of these, what I will generically call the GLM or grenade launcher module, because they are all very similar, as you will see, but depending on the specific customer or the weapon it's for or the type, there have been minor modifications and changes throughout the lifestyle. So they might have one specific name or the next, but if you call them a GLM, you're still right in the book, okay? So the first one, AG36, as you see here. This was an accessory grenade launcher module for the G36 series, which would turn a traditional rifleman weapon of either the G36 or the G36K into a grenadier type. Most notable on this system, obviously you've got the grenade launcher, the tube itself, but it's this vented handguard that's built into the top of the grenade launcher. And this was meant to literally pull the push pin on the front handguard on a G36 or G36K, and then slide this in position and reinstall the push pin. What you'll notice if you look closely here are these two mounting points. You see this one says G36 and the push pin's actually still inserted, and then this further one here to the rear says G36K. That's because this was designed to work with both of those models, because the German military was adopting the G36 for their standard troops and the G36K for their airborne special operations units. The mounting point on the actual rifle for the grenade launcher module is a hole that's on the bottom of the gas block. And because the gas block is further to the rear on the barrel on the G36K than it is on the G36, you have two different points. So figure out which one you're mounted to and then push the push pin through there. It's as simple as that. On the side here, you will notice that it has a ladder sight. This one mounted off to the left for a right-handed shooter. On the opposite side, you'll notice that there are two other screws which allow me to dismount the ladder sight, reverse its mounting point, and now put it on the left side, on the right side for a left-handed shooter. If you look at the ladder sight, you have a simple post here that's adjustable, and then you have the ladder sight here. Line up the post with the range that you estimate to target, and you're ready to go. When not in use, it simply folds down out of the way. This also, by having mounting points on either side, allowed you also to have accessory quadrant sights. There's even some optics that allow you to mount on the other side of the weapon. On the grenade launcher module itself, you'll see it has an ambidextrous selector. This lever is in the same design and functionality as what you've seen on the G36 for obvious reasons. There is also an ambidextrous barrel latch release here. So when I push on this, the barrel opens out to the left, again designed for a right-handed shooter to load the weapon and then close the action again. Unlike the earlier designs and unlike what you see in most other grenade launchers that have to manually cock an external hammer or rack the slide action in order to cock the weapon, the grenade launcher modules all use a double action trigger, which in itself is a safety feature. You've got to really want to pull this trigger in order to allow it to detonate. And as an added feature, if you had some kind of malfunction with the ammunition, maybe a light primer strike in another weapon, you'd have to manually cock or open the slide action, hope you don't drop that round out in your hand in the process on an M203. With a GLM, you simply just pull the trigger a second time to detonate it. Originally, they had this just for the G36, but then to provide a standalone option, they simply just created a different mount at the rear that used the same buttstock mounting point as on the G36. So those same G36 folding stocks would mount on it. But because the sighting system was mounted to this upper vented handguard, that was left in place. And obviously, you can imagine holding this up on a stock would look kind of goofy. So it wasn't long before H&K would then update that into what we call the EGLM. And you can see in this system, very much similar, from this point down, all the same functionality that I just showcased on the AG36. The big difference here is how the top mounting point is on here. Obviously, this one has this telescoping buttstock, which allows you to put it in your shoulder and fire it as a standalone weapon. But you'll also notice, and there's a channel on these mounting points on the top. So if I hit the two release points, I can remove the buttstock, and now I can expose this channel right through the center. And then you'll notice that there is this mounting block with two bolts here, and there's another cavity where the mounting block can be moved and then rebolted in this position. This was designed to incorporate the same grenade launcher module with any M16A2 AR-15 or M4 CAR-15 style, just by simply positioning this mounting point and then sliding it in position. So for this example, I have a simple Colt M4, and I've got the SOP mod Knights Armament RAS handguard of the time period. You simply slide the grenade launcher module over that system, and you'll see it comes to a stop. And because this is an M4 and I have this mounting point in the M4 position, it stops right here where there is a crossbolt. And then on the left side of the actual grenade launcher, I've already removed it. There's a hold point, a little mounting point for this Allen key. I would simply then take the Allen key, put it in the bolt here, cross bolt, and rotate it until it locks onto the bayonet lug. If this instead was an M16, where obviously the bayonet lug is further forward, I would just move, using the same tool, this mounting point up further, mount it the same way, and lock it down. So, very cool system to be able to have it be modular from a standalone weapon to mounted on an AR-15, M16, M4 style weapon, literally at the user level. M203, you got to take it in armor, he's got to take it and put it all together. This you can do literally as the mission set changes. So that would carry us on to the XM8 program. XM8 program was an offshoot of the original G36 design in order to respond to a U.S. Army requirement to replace the M16 M4 with a new weapon. Part of that system was to have a updated grenade launcher from the original M203. So they took what they had done with the AG36 and they created the XM320. Like the G36 design, it's a simple push pin. Now it's mounted at the rear. So I remove this push pin here, just like I would a normal handguard, slide the grenade launcher module off, put on a standard handguard, and then vice versa. It's just as easy to reattach, simple push pin back in place. You can see it uses the same ladder type system, which is mountable on the left or the right side, as well as more complex quadrant sights and optic sets functions in the same way. Though the XM8 was not adopted by the U.S. military, the XM320 was. And we have seen it become the M320, which is now in service with the U.S. Army. Wow, that's impressive. I don't know if I could repeat that even if I tried. In service with the Marine Corps and the U.S. Army, the M320. As you can see here, this is an armor cutaway version with its clear polymer so you can see the insides and these different cutout positions. Looks very much like the EGLM, but now we have a slightly shorter barrel to make it more compact. And now we have a folding integrated vert grip so that I can put my support hand somewhere because I don't have as long a barrel to hold before. This is the same design as what we have on the MP7. You notice this one also has the tethered dust cover cap. If you forgot to take this off when you fired the weapon, the pressures would blow it out of the way as well. So very unique in it. You can see similar functionality with the sighting system and similar functionality in the fact that I can remove the stock from the rear. And once again, I am exposing this channel here in the side, and then you can see this mounting point. This mounting plate can work just like the mounting plate that we saw for the M16 and the M4. If that's what you want to use, you'd mount that plate in there. For the M4, this is the position it would be in. You can see these further points here. It would extend out a little bit further on the M16. This specific one with its captive push pin is what we would use for the HK416 or for the Marine Corps, their M27. If you had one of those weapons, you would just take your rifle and you can see the exposed area here for the mounting point on the bottom of the gas block. You would slide on your M320 and push that push pin through, and you now have the ability to run your grenade launcher on the bottom of your weapon. If you decided that per your mission that you didn't want to do that anymore, maybe that was too cumbersome and you wanted to go back to a standalone system, you just pull that push pin, slide it back off, and then reinstall your telescoping stock to your weapon. The compact nature of this system means that quite often you will see these weapons actually used in a standalone system, either from some kind of holster or sling capability. But very, very cool. As you might expect, U.S. military and other military organizations aren't the only guys who want to have grenade launchers. You also have a capability from the law enforcement side. Now, of course, they're not firing high explosive munitions, but they do have the need to use less lethal things. Tear gas, CS, illumination cartridges, and the less lethal things, rubber type munitions. So H&K would modify that M320 GLM design. There was no longer a need to have the extra weight and complexity of a stock that could move and a mounting system that mounts on your weapon, and they created a standalone version of that. And this is the HK169. The big differences here, you can see it has a built-in interface at the rear that uses the same mounting points as a G36 stock. So this is a standard G36 stock, but if you wanted any of the accessory ones, the ones that telescope and have cheek risers, any of those can be mounted to the rear. It folds off the side, and you can see there's actually a locking point here that allows it to hinge over and lock in the closed position. Just simply pull up to release it, and then it comes back again. The other noticeable feature is that now we have one full-length Picatinny rail on the top, and that's because even though I could mount, you can see it here on the side, the more complex ladder sight, the needs of law enforcement at much closer ranges for these less lethal mean that you can either use direct sights like these flipped up sets or a red dot and either do a point or just slightly above the target in order to engage. So HK169, a very popular option for law enforcement organizations. And the latest in the series is the HK269, as you can see here. And if you look at this, you're probably saying, James, that looks a whole lot like the M320 that you showed us before. And I would say, well, that's because it really is. The main difference between this and what you saw before is the HK269 is now completely ambidextrous for use with left and right-handed shooters. As I mentioned with these earlier models, when I hit this release here for the barrel, it's going to swing out to the left for a right-handed shooter. The HK269 has these two pins here on the front that are removable at the user level. You then take the barrel, slide it out, flip it over, push it back in, and then push these two pins back in place, switching the spring to the other side. And now when I push the lever, the barrel opens out to the right for a left-handed shooter. So I can buy one weapon system, and regardless of whether I'm issuing it to left or right-handed shooters, just by simply removing these two pins, rotating the barrel, and reinstalling them, I can convert this weapon from a left-hand or right-handed capability. And again, the same thing with my ladder sight. It can switch to the opposite side. This also has the ability to remove the stock and mount it to either your 416, 417, or your other AR pattern weapons, if so desired. So, what do you think? I mean, come on now. We all want one of these, don't we? This would make everybody's life just a little bit better if you had a 40mm grenade launcher. Well, with that, I will say once again, I hope you have enjoyed this brief look at the grenade launcher modules from H&K. I hope you guys can tell I'm having a good time. I'm really enjoying the new role I have here and being able to share a little bit more from you. And don't worry, I'm going to keep them coming. Until next time, guys, if you want to know more about these weapons, I'd highly encourage you to go out to vickersguide.com and pre-order your copy of Volume 4 of the Vickers Guide. We have packed so much information in there, and it includes all of the grenade launcher modules I've showcased today and more detailed information than I was able to provide to you. So if you're an H&K fan and you haven't heard of the Vickers Guide series, I'm telling you, this is the 4th volume in the set to bookend the complete catalog of HK weapons. You're not going to find a more comprehensive single reference item than that. Until next time, take care.